MYP Language Acquisition French Support Site. MYP Unit Planner. Year 1. Self-Introduction. Inquiry, establishing the purpose of the unit. Global context. Identities and relationships. Global context exploration. Identity formulation. Self-esteem. Status, roles, and role models. Key concept. Culture. Related concepts. Conventions. Empathy. Statement of inquiry. Learning a new language will help students show empathy toward other cultures and understand their conventions. It will also help them strengthen their relationships and deepen their understanding of their own cultural and linguistic identity. Inquiry questions. Factual, what tools do I need to communicate in a new language? Conceptual, how do I survive in a new cultural and linguistic environment? Debatable, are cultural/social conventions universal? Approaches to learning, ATL, skills. Organization strands. Bring necessary equipment and supplies to class. Students will be helped in organizing their materials for class and understanding the effects this type of organization can have on their success as students. Keep an organized and logical system of information files/notebooks. Students will be guided in organizing their French notebooks, folders, and digital files through constant reminders on how this strategy can enhance time management and efficiency for assessments and homework. Select and use technology effectively and productively. Students will use digital tools such as Quizlet for language learning to enhance vocabulary retention and practice skills interactively. Planning for teaching and learning through inquiry. Differentiation. Scaffold speaking activities for students with different proficiency levels. Visual and auditory support for listening comprehension. Choice-based tasks to allow students to express their cultural identity in a way that is meaningful to them. Flexible grouping for collaborative role plays and discussions. Assessments. Summative assessments. 1. Speaking assessment, interview with the teacher. MYP Objective C, speaking. Relationship to statement of inquiry. Apart from helping students deepen their understanding of their own cultural and linguistic identity, this assessment ties in the factual and conceptual inquiry questions. 2. Audiovisual comprehension on Back to School. MYP Objective A, listening. Relationship to statement of inquiry. Students will identify the differences between the first day of school in France and at OFS, as well as in their own country. This will help them deepen their understanding of their own cultural and linguistic identity. Formative assessments. Role plays, demonstrating the differences in conventions when using greetings. MYP Objective C, speaking. Relationship to statement of inquiry. This activity will help students deepen their understanding of cultural identity and linguistic conventions. It connects to the debatable question, are cultural/social conventions universal? Action and service. This unit encourages students to reflect on their identity and the ways they interact with others through language. By learning about cultural conventions, students develop empathy and an appreciation for linguistic diversity. They also gain practical skills in organization and communication, which they can apply beyond the classroom. Reflection and evaluation. Reflection and evaluation before the unit. Learner profile focus. Students will develop the balanced learner profile trait by engaging in classroom activities linked to ATL skills and organization. Focus on approaches to learning, bring necessary equipment and supplies to class. Students will be helped in organizing their materials for class and understanding how organization contributes to success. Keep an organized and logical system of information files and notebooks. Students will receive guidance on managing their French notebooks, folders, and digital files, with constant reminders on the benefits of organization for assessments and homework. Select and use technology effectively and productively. Students will use Quizlet to support their language learning. Monitoring and motivation. Class Dojo app will be used to track students' organization skills and provide rewards for progress. Peer and self-checks will be conducted throughout the quarter. Reflection and evaluation during the unit. Speaking and listening practice. Students will require frequent opportunities to practice pronunciation and listening skills in every lesson. Class time for writing and memorization. Students will be given time in class to write and memorize vocabulary to develop effective study habits. Technology integration. Quizlet will be encouraged for home practice. Interactive learning activities. Language learning games will be implemented to promote spontaneity in spoken and written responses. Subunit title: Introduce myself and others. Specific learning outcomes. By the end of this subunit, students will be able to ask someone's name and say their own name. Spell their name. Say what languages they speak. Use subject pronouns. Use the verb to be. Use the verb to be called. Use the negative form of to be. Introduce their friends. Learning experiences and teaching strategies. Using the global context of identities and relationships to answer the questions who am I? And who are we? Through a poster activity. New learners can use basic introductory phrases and vocabulary. Students with prior knowledge can extend their poster to include additional basic phrases about themselves, their family, friends, or classmates. Differentiation. Content differentiation. Establish prior learning handout. Students complete a handout to determine their level of familiarity with French. Process differentiation. My language story. Activity. Identify students with prior knowledge of French. These students will serve as buddies or mentors to those with no prior knowledge. Mentor students will contribute to vocabulary and spelling support. Students are encouraged to include any known vocabulary in their speaking and writing tasks. Product differentiation. Buddy system and seating plan. The teacher pairs complete beginners with class mentors. A seating plan is arranged to support peer learning. Reflection on differentiation. Students entering French 1 come with varied levels of experience. Differentiation strategies ensure that all students engage with the content at their level, whether they are beginners or have prior knowledge. The mentor system fosters collaboration and peer support, helping new learners build confidence. Subunit title: Use greetings and some classroom commands. Specific learning outcomes. By the end of this subunit, students will be able to greet people in French. Address people correctly. Use classroom expressions in French. Compare and contrast greetings in France and their own country. Teacher notes. ATL organization checklist, available in the file resource. ATL activities. Bring necessary equipment and supplies to class. Students learn classroom objects in French. They are quizzed on the items they have. Stamps are awarded for bringing all materials. 5 stamps equals learner profile merit, balanced. Use regular review of subject matter to improve retention. Early learners develop habitual vocabulary learning. Students are introduced to different vocabulary learning strategies. Methods. Quizlet, organized system for vocabulary learning. Introducing 3 to 5 new words per lesson, spoken, translated, mimed, and written as dictation. Chunking words /peer learning /look-say-write check /hangman. Handout on vocabulary learning strategies plus reflection activity. Learning experiences and teaching strategies. Visit OFS Language Acquisition resource for additional materials. Interactive activities focusing on speaking, listening, and writing greetings and commands. Differentiation. Process differentiation. Students identify their own learning strategies by participating in a learning strategies workshop. Group activity, 4 to 5 students per group. Each group is assigned 1 learning strategy card. They practice and develop mnemonic techniques for lexical/grammatical content. The teacher provides clear instructions and ensures structured time management. Product differentiation. Students document their work in their books or on a separate workshop sheet. Teacher checks, not graded, but provides merits or learner profile stickers to reward effort. Reflection on differentiation. Students track their progress through various learning strategies. Personal learning strategies profile. After completing all workshops, students reflect on their preferred learning strategies. They paste this reflection in their books as a personal reference for future language learning. Subunit 1. State how I am feeling. Specific learning outcomes. By the end of this subunit, students will be able to ask how someone is feeling in French. Respond by stating how they feel. Learning experiences and teaching strategies. Role-playing activities where students ask and answer questions about feelings. Flashcards and visuals to associate French expressions with emotions. Listening to audio dialogues to hear pronunciation and different intonations. Interactive speaking games to practice in pairs or small groups. Differentiation. Scaffold sentence structures for beginners. Challenge task for advanced learners, create short dialogues using different adjectives. Subunit 2, Identify classroom objects. Specific learning outcomes. By the end of this subunit, students will be able to ask what something is in French. Identify common classroom objects. Use indefinite articles. Use the plural form of nouns. Construct a survey on boys' and girls' school bags. Learning experiences and teaching strategies. Labeling activity, students label objects around the classroom in French. Matching games, words and images of school objects. Survey project, students survey classmates' school bags, list the objects, and report findings. Listening comprehension, teacher describes a school bag's contents, and students identify the correct image. Differentiation process. Exit card at the end of each lesson to check understanding of school objects vocabulary. Indefinite articles. Plural form of nouns. Tiered vocabulary practice, beginners focus on basic objects and articles. Advanced students write complete sentences using plural forms. Subunit, Identify people. Specific learning outcomes. By the end of this subunit, students will be able to ask, who is this? In French. Identify people using vocabulary. Use definite articles correctly in context. Learning experiences and teaching strategies. Picture-based activity, students identify people in images and describe them using definite articles. Celebrity identification task, students match famous personalities with their descriptions in French. Pair work dialogue practice, students take turns asking and answering with different classroom roles. Listening exercise, teacher describes a person and students match the description to a visual. Differentiation process. For beginners, focus on basic vocabulary with visual aids. For students with prior knowledge, extend descriptions by adding adjectives. Sentence building challenge, write full sentences about real people, e.g., classmates, teachers, celebrities. Reflection on differentiation. This subunit provides an opportunity to highlight students with prior knowledge in French by showcasing their ability to expand on basic structures, inspiring other students. Validating their prior learning by giving them leadership roles, e.g., guiding peers in group work. Subunit, Use numbers. Specific learning outcomes. By the end of this subunit, students will be able to recognize and use numbers 1 to 19 in French. Respond to and answer basic numerical questions. Learning experiences and teaching strategies. 1. Kinesthetic activity, mini whiteboards. Each student receives a small whiteboard. The teacher asks questions about a presentation, in French and English. Students write their numerical answers and hold the boards over their heads. Encourages full participation at all competence levels and supports kinesthetic learners. 2. Loto, number bingo. Classic bingo game using numbers 1 to 19. Helps with listening, recognition, and pronunciation. Differentiation. Content differentiation. Focus on numbers 1 to 19 for all students. Process differentiation. Identify students who already know the numbers. Buddy system, pair experienced students with beginners. Mentor students use mini whiteboards to help new learners practice numbers 1 to 19. Advanced students receive a handout to practice numbers up to 100. Experienced students guide the Loto game for extra leadership practice. Product differentiation. Engaging and interactive activities ensure active participation and success. Hands-on learning promotes better retention and confidence building. Subunit. Identify language learning strategies. Specific learning outcomes. By the end of this subunit, students will be able to identify different language learning strategies, participate in workshops to explore various techniques for improving listening, reading, speaking, and writing skills, discover the best learning strategies for their own strengths and needs. Learning experiences and teaching strategies. 1. Workshops on learning strategies. Students rotate through different stations focused on speaking strategies, writing techniques, memorization of vocabulary, grammar retention strategies. At each station, students engage in hands-on activities related to the skill. 2. Learning style cards. Each student receives a card describing a different learning style. They reflect on which strategies work best for them and apply them to the workshops. 3. Group sharing and reflection. Students work in small groups to discuss and share the most effective strategies they discovered. They create a class resource of learning tips. Differentiation. Content differentiation. Learning style cards help students find strategies that suit their individual preferences. Process differentiation. Students engage in a variety of activities to test different approaches to learning French. Choice-based tasks allow students to select methods that work best for them. Product differentiation. Students reflect on and record their preferred learning strategies. Groups compile a shared list of strategies to support all classmates. Reflection on differentiation. Benefits of this approach. Students enjoy working in groups and discover new ways to learn. They take ownership of their learning and support each other. By sharing strategies, they help classmates improve their skills.